Oh, there we go.
You're listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
Buenos dias. Or is it Buenos tardes?
Still trying that Spanish, huh?
Noches? We're on to Noches now because it is after dark. It's 23 Personnel After Dark as usual. We have a special guest today. We should get to him right away because I want to hear his voice.
Yeah, we're joined by Rob Bro, friend of the show, Rob Bro himself. Rob, thanks for joining in. We initially invited him on to help cover for Michael's vacation, and he's like, no, the show is too important.
The show must go on.
I must cancel Florida Disney vacation.
Yes, I must make my wife sick so that we can cancel our vacation and I can continue this podcast. That was the plan.
Thanks for sticking with us and hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah.
And bringing a trio aspect to the 23 Personnel Podcast.
Good to be here. I enjoyed the Tim Tadlock impression there, Michael.
It wasn't. The beautiful part about the Tim Tadlock impression is that it's really just me not fighting my accent anymore.
My
It's
favorite Tim Tadlock moments are the commercial he has on Learfield. It's like, "Hey, Red Raider fans, want to invite y'all out to the ballpark." It's like, hey, pick it up there, Tim. You only got 30 seconds to get to this read, man.
Red Raider Nation. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just want it. I'm kind of like the Hulk in the sense that how what's the guy, whoever the actor is that played him. He said something like, "Well,
Ruffalo.
yeah, the secret is I'm always angry."
Yeah.
That's kind of how I am. The secret is I always have that accent within me, and it's
Yeah,
just
you're always
it's just
mirthful.
fighting to come out every word I say.
Michael's favorite thing for me to point out is the Jaguars on the way into town. Every time I drive through Merkel, he likes to remind me it's not.
That is
not,
it is not in
actually
Merkel.
Merkel.
It is in Ty. That is in Ty, Texas. It is in Merkel School District, but it is not in Merkel proper. How dare you?
Anyways, yeah. So again, thanks, Rob. Thanks for your commitment, Michael. I'm here all week, so I wasn't changing any plans to be here, but do it for you, the people, the listeners. Before we jump in, we've got baseball. There was a game today, Bark at the Park. Texas Tech came out victorious in the first game of 2 versus Grand Canyon. We'll get to that, get to the weekend series versus the Sooners, and then look ahead to the upcoming weekend with Baylor. And then we've got some basketball news to get to, the spring game, football spring games this weekend. And then questions. What do we learn? Sorry, I'm getting like weird looks. We still good?
Yeah, we're good. I was just like, did you forget
no, I
what
can't
we
hear you
do?
guys.
Did you forget
That's
what our podcast is?
fantastic. Knew this would happen. Of course, we would do this and have somebody on, and it crashed and not work.
What, did it quit working? Oh no,
Get over here.
it's me. Rob, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I think Spencer can't hear us.
I-
That's usually what
Good on my
happens.
end. So Spencer's crashed.
Yes.
Oh, there he is.
Yep. And I think it's still recording.
It looks like it is. Oh, he's back. Nope, he's gone.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, at least I've got somebody with me when this happens now.
yeah, it says we're still live on the YouTube. Yeah, we're still going. He's gone. Now he's back.
Now he's back. Man,
There he is.
And sometimes he can't hear us or me when he comes back. So Riverside, definitely not a sponsor.
Well, let me get
Of
your
the
thought
podcast
here.
right
Let
now.
me get your thought here, Michael, as we wait for Spencer to come back.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Bark in the Parks?
Gosh, is it?
Oh, I've got thoughts.
Okay. Maybe this is a safe space. Not the biggest dog guy.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
I like my dog.
Sure.
I don't like your dog,
No. It's.
and I don't want
It's-
to. I don't want to deal with it in public.
I mean, I don't look forward to like sitting
No.
how that's going to go, the logistics of the excrement. There's enough. I pick up enough dog crap in my own yard,
Yeah.
and I don't own a dog. So I'm just
Oh, even worse.
skeptical on the whole deal.
Do you have cats?
Yeah, I've got Rocky.
Okay, Rocky the cat.
He's my guy.
I'm a no pet household currently.
What, are you looking for that to change?
No.
No.
No, I don't. I'm not a pet guy. I don't think.
What about this little guy? I've got my
Your
6-year-old. Yeah, she had a stuffed animal pet shop the other day, and
Oh.
this was the one I picked out.
Nice.
And her name's Harmony. I feel pretty good about that.
No, I don't even have any. I've got some Funko Pops. Hey, you want a Funko Pop tour while Spencer tries to get back in?
Yeah, you do that.
Let's see. I've
And
got
then-
Jon Snow.
Oh.
Jon Snow Funko Pop. See if I can reach another one.
I've never even seen Game of Thrones.
Got Razor Ramon,
Who?
the wrestler.
Okay.
Hey, Chico. Let's see. There's one you'll like, but I don't think I can reach it.
I bet you would never
Got
suspect me to
Fat
have
Thor.
Fat Thor. it's, a
The
Tim,
bobblehead, too.
it's a Tim Duncan bobblehead.
Oh, it's not in the camera.
Oh,
Oh, there you go. Oh, nice. Go Spurs.
it looks just like him.
Is that not David Robinson?
I thought it was Chris Webber. Not really sure. Oh, this is gold. Spencer's gonna love listening to this.
Well, he shouldn't have died.
I
I've got two
know.
more. All right,
Okay.
Sanka Coffee.
Ah,
From Cool Running. And here's
feel
the,
the feel the rhythm.
yeah, here's the good one.
That is a real deep cup. Deep cut. Oh, is that Indiana Jones?
Oh, oh, there's Spencer. Heard a burp. No, it's Doc Holliday.
Oh, is it really?
Here, Huckleberry. Yeah, you see the mustache? That does look like Indiana Jones.
The proportions are so weird.
Well, it's a Funko Pop.
Well, I mean, it looks like a. That does not look like a cowboy hat to me.
No, it's fedora.
Yeah. I was like, is that Dick Tracy? I wasn't quite sure.
What else do I have? I've got two Patrick Mahomes bobbleheads. I've got three, but one of them doesn't have a head right now.
I have a video game.
It's like playing show and tell while he comes back.
Got Far Cry
Far
5
Cry.
here.
Fellas, I can hear you.
Oh, there he
Nice.
is.
Back.
Had a
Boy.
multi-layer failure. The Roadcaster board itself froze. I've never seen that happen.
Oh, I have not had that happen either.
See, I feel so vindicated because Rob and I we just carried on the whole show while you were gone.
Oh, I
Because-
Get a
appreciate
show
it.
and tell.
I'll have to go back and listen to it. We'll have to see
Yeah.
how it goes. That's a good thing about Riverside because Riverside apparently was still working. You guys were still recording, so
Yeah.
we should have all that captured. And Rode, this is my second device. I actually had this one replaced. Anyways, we'll get a. Oh, we'll hear about this one. Anyways, I don't know what you guys were talking about. So if you want to bring me up to speed real quick, or just
No, we're good.
carry on, I'll just jump in where.
No,
wherever.
I think you could roll into if you wanted to mention sponsors or anything, or just roll right into baseball or.
Unless you have thoughts on Bark in the Park.
Yeah, Bark in the Park. We did. That was actually kind of relevant before we started show and tell.
I have dogs that would make that a real painful experience. So I've never done that before.
Your dog bit me one time.
She's an a-hole.
She is. She sucks, man.
She's also 13
she
and a
old?
half years old.
Okay.
Oh yeah, she's 13. She's also now almost completely blind.
Okay. Yeah.
I built a shed in the backyard, storage shed, and like very recently completed it. Like for the longest time, didn't have the door on it. Doors. 12-foot wide shed, doors on the broad side of this thing. So basically a 7-foot opening. She somehow got into the shed but couldn't find her way out. I was like, you are so stupid.
Was it dark outside?
No. But she's blind, but she can't see.
Well,
But I was
yeah.
like, I was calling her. I was like, dog. Her name's Tori. Like, Tori, come here. Tori, whistling, snapping, whatever. I was like, I just have to go pick her up because she was just like, it was
Go to the
stupid.
light.
And then yesterday, I was out there. I was trying to finish up. I was expecting rain. I was like, I gotta go. Just last little things on it. We have this little strip on our side yard that's inside the fence, and she got caught in there. It was like she was just doing circles, like barely big enough for her to like just turn herself around. It's like, well, one, that part of the yard's like 7 feet wide, but two, like it's wide open yard, dog. Let's go. Anyways, so no, I wouldn't have definitely taken her to Bark in the Park. The other one, kind of a hassle too, but yeah, the older one has I don't want to say bitten some people, but she's bitten some people.
She's bitten some people. I am
On the
people.
on the foot, but
Well,
like,
it's true.
Lower leg, she's schnauzer at heart, so she's just a little dick. All right. There will be some ad reads in this episode. For those listening, they won't be from us. We've got the sponsor through the Sports Drink Network that will drop them in our breaks. So there will be ads. Just hang with us. They're not specific to 23 Personnel or the Staking the Plains Content Network. You want those names, check out Gambling Gauchos for sure, which we are obviously proud members of that network with Rob, Kyle, Ryan, Shelby, Sibby, David, Keith. Got through all of them. I always forget somebody, and it's almost always Shelby. I'm sorry, Shelby. Anyways, so you know where to find all those great productions. You can follow us on Twitter if you're not already at 23 Personnel, at PuntSuck, at Michael_LBK, and Rob, where can they find you and your fine work?
Oh, you can find me at Rob Rochore at Gambling Gauchos with a G at the beginning and a G at Gauchos.
For sure. All right, we're gonna jump into baseball, and then we'll do all that good stuff. So, Michael, Rob, are you guys ready?
Ready.
Let's do it.
Yes.
All right, so still some work to be done before you're packing for Omaha, but you did make some much needed improvements, progress, trend at least, with the 3 consecutive road wins. You hadn't had a road win this season since you won. Well, technically it was a neutral win against Michigan in Arlington. And then you took 1 from Stanford. Then you took 2 straight from Oklahoma to get your 3 straight. You won the series in Norman. That gets you to, and then you dropped the Sunday game, 25-12, 6-6 in the Big 12. I don't want to be like stealing things that other people have said or shared in other podcasts, but Rob, Kyle, one of you said that the order of wins matters and how you felt on the series. I couldn't agree more. That had you won Saturday and Sunday or Friday and Sunday, you would have felt completely different about how the weekend went. But losing on Sunday, especially in the fashion you did with the run rule, left a bad taste. But taking the series on the road was huge. Huge. Takes you to 6th in the Big 12 standings, which I think it still feels weird that you're so low in the conference standings, being that you've only lost 1 series. You've won the three other Big 12 series you played. You just got swept by the Longhorns, but we'll get to the end of that. You're 2 games back from first, so 1st to 6th, not that big of a gap. Rankings have you anywhere between 13th and perfect game up to 21st by CB. Is that College Baseball America? I don't remember the name of that publication. Doesn't really matter. There's a ton of them, but mid-teens. Oklahoma falls squarely into last place in the Big 12. Not that really ultimately matters. You did what you needed to do in taking the series win. Where they finish in the Big 12 standings, couldn't care less. Initial thoughts from the weekend, Michael, Rob, about how the games went. I don't really want to hammer how bad the broadcast was. I think that's just said enough. Just initial thoughts on the series, Michael.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to bring up is just, I mean, the fireworks of the first game, how it unfolded the way it did, how it was so close and it just opened up at the end. Something that Keith mentioned on his write-up that I didn't really notice was Tech had 0 errors in that game. And I think that is only the 10th time that's happened this season. But then still the margin was that close. It came down to extra innings, and it came down to kind of a Herculean, crazy 10th inning to get a win. So and this is, as you mentioned, the 9th place Big 12 team. I just think there's a lot to be said there on, kind of the confidence level that we have in the team and the consistency. Even when they play that well defensively, they still had to, do something crazy to end up winning the game.
Yeah, even with that error-free performance, I think you only moved up. Where was it? You're 232nd now in the country in fielding percentage. I think you're up from 244. Every little bit helps, obviously. That fielding percentage, you certainly want to see that continue to climb. But that extra innings effort was fun to see it happen to somebody else. Honestly, like when we got to the point where it was tied and Oklahoma was up to bat in the bottom of the 9th, I probably not the only one. I just had some demons flashback from when you lost those 3 walk-offs in a row. You're like, please don't let this happen again. Rob, what are some of the things that you initially took from the Oklahoma series?
Yeah, beating a team you should, and you haven't done that consistently. You lost one to North Dakota State. I know you won that series, but you really should have swept that one. The New Mexico game comes to mind, the 3rd game against Iowa, and I know you went 2 of 3 in Norman, but just to kind of flex on them 2 games and to just, explode at the end of the first game and then beat them pretty soundly on Saturday. And the guys you've needed to step up, stepped up. Gavin Cash had a great weekend. Gage Harrelson had a great weekend.
Excuse me, his name is Gavin Mash.
Gavin Mash.
Yeah.
That's like
And Gage Barrelson.
Barrelson, yeah. That's a good one.
Sorry,
I did love that pun.
you were going somewhere. I just had to interrupt you for a second. I'm so sorry. Go on.
And then you had Brendan Girton, who really bounced back, I thought, now out of the bullpen.
Yeah,
And it is frustrating to have Mason Molina and Girton both pitch on the same day. You would really like to have them on different days and both of them to do well. But Girton, I thought, had a good bounce back.
So I'm probably going to talk out of both sides of my mouth here and set it up by saying I'm not the baseball savant that Tadlock is, but I don't think you have to be like a 40-year veteran of the game to then also have some questions about the roster management, specifically pitchers. Now you look at it and I was like, what's going on with this rotation and why does it keep changing? And like we moved Molina up. Did we ever hear why that happened and Girton was moved from the starting role back into the bullpen?
Girton had been bad.
And you generally want to win on Friday, so you put your best pitcher on Friday night, and it should have been Molina. And then Molina was brutal, and you kind of had to go to best arm available because you want to win game 1 of the Big 12 series. Is my reasoning. Oh, he's gone again.
Do we lose him?
I think we lost him again.
Oh, man. Your takes are just too hot.
I know. I ruined it. But that's what I would say. If you're trying to figure out the rotation, and look, why have you had so many starters in the last 2 weeks? Well, none of them have been great until tonight. I thought Tabor Fast Start against Grand Canyon was your best performance from a starter since Bo Blessey in the opening weekend.
Is that his first win too?
That is his first win, yes.
Okay.
That
Is that-
might be his first decision.
Has he taken a loss?
I don't. Yeah, he's 1-0. So that's it. That's the first anything he's been able to
And-
do. That's the first time he's pitched enough.
He's pitched really well, or pitched in the right spot. He's pitched really well this season. But he's given up a bunch of walks and runs. And I thought he pitched pretty clean today, or at least got outs when there were runners in scoring position. I think they had 10 runners in scoring position, and they scored once. And I think that was from first base. I think he walked him and then gave up a double.
Oh man.
And it wasn't fast, it was
Beckel.
but it was fast walk.
So
And
that's.
I
he
would
was-
assume-
Yeah, it carries over.
I would assume they took him out at 75 because they want him to pitch again this weekend. That would be my assumption. He might start Sunday.
Well, that would make sense because you've got to go all in. I'm with you completely on going all in on trying to take these Big 12 games, whatever it takes. Especially a team like Baylor that's won 13 games on the year. They're 13-23. They're no longer ninth in the Big 12. They're 8th. I need to change my note there.
Oh, because
So I don't really know much about them aside from, I don't know much about them aside from they're not very good. But Tech's got to take care of business against them. And, Grand Canyon, that's not a walk in the park either. I think tomorrow with how they played, and I mean, they pitched really well, almost uncharacteristically well tonight, that
After
I
the starter.
expect, yes,
Yeah.
I expect Grand Canyon to have a little bit more of a showing tomorrow. We'll see, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be a split or anything. I don't have a good read on that next game tomorrow. Do you know if they have enough depth to kind of hold Tech off, or?
Let's see who all they pitched today, but
We'll have to see. And the rotation this weekend could very well be Mason Molina on Friday night. And if Mason Molina performs well, then go deep, and you'll have Beckel and Kyle Robinson or whoever else. And you have Trendon Parrish on Saturday. If Trendon goes deep and you get a 10-run lead, you don't need Girton, then Girton can start Sunday. If not, then Girton will be the first long man out of the pen on either day he needs to be. And since you pulled fast at 70, you might get 30 or 40 out of him again on Sunday. I don't know.
Spencer's
He could
back.
be the midweek guy.
I appreciate the efforts that you guys are putting in to carry this show without me, because this has been just a fantastic. It was the
Rob-
Roadcaster again. It crashed. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go with something else. So
Rob
sounds
came on
different.
as a guest, and he's over
He's
here
been
like his
carrying this
back is
show.
sore from carrying this show.
well, I certainly appreciate the hard work, Rob. I'm gonna have to pitch in and give you something nice.
Well, to
Not just
catch
a-
you up, we kind of, I don't know if, I don't want to speak for Rob or you to say we wrapped up the Oklahoma series, but we kind of
fine.
did a little bit and moved on a little bit to tomorrow's game and looking a little ahead at Baylor, but I didn't know if you had more to say on Baylor specifically.
Me, Baylor? No, you should
Yeah.
sweep them. That's
Yeah, they're not very good.
Should. You really should.
And yeah, like you should, and like you need to if you have aspirations of doing anything like geared towards winning the conference or putting yourself into a position to at least be in the conversation for sneaking in and maybe even hosting the a regional. Without it though, I mean it's I think it's pretty well set that you're going to be a 2 or a 3 kind of looking in.
Yeah, at this point, you're really trying to keep that RPI in a position to be a 2 seed, which it doesn't really matter in a region. But if you win a regional as a 2 seed, you have the potential for a super hosting if crazy stuff happens. But if you're a 3, you really don't.
was Texas Tech at 2 when they defeated Miami and then hosted Charleston
I believe so, because Florida
in
lost.
2014 or whatever it was.
14.
Okay. So yeah,
I think
there's
so.
present there at least with Texas Tech to host as a 2 from the regional. So you've got the midweek now. You wrapped up game 1 tonight. Took game 1 versus Grand Canyon. Again, you need both of these games just to keep the RPI from free falling. You went with Tabor Fast on the mound tonight. And from someone that wasn't able to watch the entire thing, like it seems like he had a pretty respectable outing. Went 6 at least, I believe, and then looked good doing it. So, sorry, I'm trying to get to the stats.
Yeah, and that last walk he had was his last at bat to pitch. But again, that was the best start of any Tech pitcher against Gonzaga.
Well, yeah,
I really
you
do
haven't
think he
had
looked good.
anybody. You haven't had anybody go that long.
No.
I mean, as a starter since Blessy, I believe, or Molina against Michigan. You've had some guys do it in relief. Girton did it obviously on opening day, and Kyle Robinson did it in Arlington. But you've not had a starter really give you starter innings. It felt like most of the season yet. So Fast tonight went 6 full innings, 2 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, and on only 72 pitches.
Yeah, and
then you came in.
I mentioned while you were out, 72. They might have pulled him so he could still pitch this weekend.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense. Like for him, I think I was catching on that you were saying he could possibly be coming back as at Sunday.
Potentially. Even if it's just, 30, 40 pitches, be available.
Yeah, and then I was also interested. I haven't heard Tadlock, answer this one yet, but like he went with Beckel and Robinson tonight, so 2 of your top end bullpen arms to wrap this one up. I don't know if it's just to get them more work, to keep them fresh, just to get some presence out there, but you went with, like I said, Beckel and Robinson to finish the last 3.
Beckel's been pitching on Tuesday. Generally, it's his bullpen day. So he could either pitch in the bullpen for 50 pitches or get some live action. And so they just put him out there.
Okay, well, that makes a lot
think-
more sense. And then Robinson gets the last inning. Coleman came in tonight, back in the 2-hole as the DH. Was 2 for 4 on the night. Those 2 hits were home runs. It was good to see that little bit of power come back. And then Gavin Cash hit himself another home run. Big 12 leading in home runs. And before the episode, as we were putting the notes together this afternoon, he was, where was it? 6th in the country in home runs. I don't think the one moved him up into 5th, but it's possible that moved up. So I'm like I said, I'm not the roster savant. I'm not the one pulling the strings. I'm not going to pretend to know all the inner workings of all that. But I do want to go over some good and bad stats and trends that we've seen so far. Texas Tech is 3rd in double plays turned. These are all numbers before the game tonight, so you could have made up some ground on this or extended your lead on some of these. But 3rd in double plays turned, 1st in the Big 12. Sorry, 3rd in the country in double plays turned, and 1st in the Big 12. You were 6th in runs scored, 1st in the Big 12. 1st in sacrifice flies. That the distance between 1st and 2nd is closed. You're now just 1 ahead of 2nd place. You're 5th in walks and only 2nd in the Big 12. Kansas State is 1st in the Big 12, and there's a huge margin between 1 and 2 up there. 8th in the country in batting average, 1st in the Big 12 there. 2nd in hits, obviously still 1st in the Big 12 there. 11th in on-base percentage. which is also good for first in Big 12. All those offensive numbers are also translating into second fewest strikeouts for your batters in the Big 12. And the fielding percentage, I think, is where we've talked about that basically all season. Individually, Nolan Hester is third in the country in walks and seventh in on-base percentage. Kevin Bazell was tied for first in doubles. Gavin Cash fourth in hits, sixth in home runs, first in the conference. Third in RBI, also first in the conference. Excuse me, Gavin Mash. I missed out his own name that I updated for him.
Yeah.
Something we kind of looked at last week was about who scored first and how that's worked out. Before tonight, I don't. You scored first, but before tonight, Texas Tech had given up the lead or early leads to their opponents in 20 of their 37 games, and then after this weekend, because they did give up the lead, Oklahoma scored first in the Saturday game. They've now evened that to 10 wins and 10 losses in terms of coming back from that. Your stolen bases against Oklahoma was 5 for 5 on the weekend. Now this doesn't account for any of the times that Oklahoma was caught, or not caught stealing, that they were picked off on the bases. But Oklahoma, like I said, was 5 for 5. That now makes Texas Tech opponents 58 of 73 on the season, where Texas Tech is only 23 of 28. And I did mention last week the higher slugging percentage may attribute to some of the lower stolen base attempts, and I went back and looked at this. Texas Tech is 18th nationally in slugging percentage and 234th for stolen bases. LSU and Florida Gulf Coast are first and second in slugging percentages, and they are 279th in stolen bases. So I think just that little bit of confirmation there, like when you're mashing the ball the way that Texas Tech does, your stolen base opportunities are going to be reduced a little bit.
And if the next guy's hitting a double, you're not, or if you feel like a guy's going to hit a double, there's no need to, like, if the next guy's going to get him in, you don't need to steal. Then you're going to get moved over.
Yeah, for sure. No, I don't have anything like on any updates on opponents' success on stealing bases against you. I don't know, Rob, if you had any thoughts on that. Like, is that something that there's more just indifferent on the Texas Tech side, or is it something that just teams are picking up on that maybe the casual fan just isn't seeing, that is leading to, Texas Tech giving up 58 of 73 stolen base attempts?
Yeah, I thought Trenton Parrish did a good job this weekend against Oklahoma. Hudson White was a high school shortstop, and I think a lot of people watched him play defense last year, and he picked it up pretty well. But his arm is good, but his move from behind home plate is kind of slow. Maxie's
Pretty good either. It's not very accurate either.
So I don't know what it is, but it all
Have a lot of precision from the pitcher either, holding guys on first.
I don't know if it's indifference or
I can't explain that because you are really bad at it.
and you were against TC. You did better this weekend. I think Trenton Parrish had a pickoff. I think Maxie had a pickoff. It was a back pick to either first or third. Got a guy. So before they steal, you have a lot more opportunities. And unless it just doesn't feel like it's going to get better at second, throwing the ball down, which I can't.
Yeah,
really
and I can't remember if the few times we've actually seen Bazell behind the plate, if he's been any like if he's been tested yet on some of those stolen base attempts. But you do have a couple of teams left on your schedule that will definitely try to push that in Kansas State and West Virginia for sure.
both on the road.
West Virginia is not like both on the road. It's not not great for your home and away splits, but so with that, we mentioned you got the next game tomorrow night, obviously, or Wednesday night against Grand Canyon, game 2, and then the weekend series versus the Bears, Baylor Bears. Baylor not as bad as they were to start off this season, but they're still not great. They're 13-23 on the season, 5-10 in Big 12 play. Somehow not last place. Oklahoma, good job on that one. They're up to 199th in RPI, which is going to be one of the lowest you'll find on your remaining schedule, if not the lowest. So you've got an opportunity here, a really good opportunity, especially at home, to take all 3. Hopefully make up some ground in the Big 12 race. Because like I go back to the feeling like you're 6th in the conference and you have an opportunity with the way that the schedule was released. You've got some opportunity to make up some ground. There have been some frustrating times, but you've only lost 1 series too. Like if you finish out the season having lost only 1 series, you're probably going to be in a pretty good spot. We sprinkle in some sweeps here, for sure going to be, playing yourself into the conversation at least to be winning the conference again. But
Speaking
we'll
of
start this weekend.
sweeps, speaking of
what's up?
sweeps, Baylor, they just finished taking on UT at home, and all of those games were close. Now Baylor did not win the series. They were, they won 1 game, which unfortunately Tech wasn't able to do. Of course, they were on the road, but yeah, so they took number 12 Texas. They lost 9-11. On Saturday, they went and won 10-9. And then on Sunday, they lost 6-7. So they're, and then tonight played Sam Houston, won 7-6. So they've kind of, like you said, they're. At first, I was kind of rolling my eyes when you said, well, they're not as bad as they were when they started. And I think you're right. They might be picking up a little bit, but this is definitely a series that Tech needs to just completely sweep and leave no.
That was their first win on the road tonight.
Oh, really? Yeah.
They were 0-10
10 coming into the night on the road.
In
500.
Don Sanders Stadium.
Don Sanders. So they're 1-10 on the road.
When Sam Houston's coming to play a series here in first weekend in May.
Yeah. Next week, you've got Abilene Christian coming in for it's not the makeup game yet. This will be the one in Abilene.
Yeah.
Their RPI has come up a little bit, and when I was
because they played Grand Canyon.
They played Grand Canyon. When I was hearing some of the other podcasts around the network I was listening to, talking about the RPI of Abilene Christian, like I remember looking at that RPI, and my memory said it was a lot higher than what I heard Keith and David and Kyle and Rob talking about. But no, it was like we had 126, and it's up to 80th. Which again, it's going to be one of your better non-conference. Like they're right up there. Kansas State is 79th in RPI, at least currently, and Abilene Christian's 80th. So as good of a non-conference outside of Stanford as you're going to see, at least here down the stretch. Not that far off, not any, maybe not even that much of a discernible difference in some of your Big 12 opponents.
Do you think that the Abilene Christian atmosphere will be similar to Fort Worth? I think there's going to be a lot of Red Raiders in Wildcat Stadium. What do they call
Oh,
it?
I would hope so.
I think so.
Hey, randomly, speaking of Abilene Christian baseball, I went to go see my nephews play this afternoon, and they're on the Abernathy team. They're on the Abernathy JV team. They were both like tweeners, like could have played up to varsity, but probably sat on the bench a lot, or been starters and played a lot of like meaningful innings on the JV team, and they both decided to play together on the JV team. There was a Abilene Christian scout, if you will, there, like looking at somebody at this Abernathy shallow water varsity game this evening. Because like it wasn't just some random guy wearing an Abilene Christian shirt. Like it was like he was wearing very, very like
Yeah,
quintessential
yeah.
coaching outfit. Like he had the slacks, the school jacket.
Do you have the gun?
I don't
Maybe a
know
notepad.
who he was looking at, but yeah, he had that and like the little pad folio thing. He was on the phone the whole time. Anyways, and then next weekend you were on the road at Kansas State. Plenty of baseball to get to before you get to that, though. With it feels weird because I feel like you guys had all the baseball conversation when I was trying to mess with those stupid equipment. Is there anything else that we should touch on before we bounce over to basketball?
Yeah, I have one thing.
Let's hear it.
Individual stats. Kevin Bazell leads the Big 12 in doubles.
He's
He
tied for
also
first in the
leads-
country.
He also leads the nation in doubles.
Yeah.
And Gavin Cash, I think if he finishes, if Texas Tech finishes strong, Gavin Cash is legit not only Big 12 Player of the Year but Golden Spikes finalist. If you look at some of his numbers, he's up there in the top 20 in slugging, top 10 in slugging. But if you just look at runs, hits, he's third in hits, fifth in hits, tied for third. Obviously up there in the top 5 in home runs. I think he has 17 now, so technically tied for fourth. And then RBIs, he's tied for second in RBIs. And then what else was I looking at? Hits. Yeah, hits is up there in the third. So I think legitimately production-wise, Gavin Cash is Big 12 Player of the Year with maybe J.J. Weatherholt at West Virginia. But if West Virginia doesn't finish strong, I think they're the two best hitters in the league. Defensively, both pretty good. Cash probably your best defender by the metrics. I would not be, let's say, maybe he has top 5 odds in the country right now if Texas Tech finishes in the top 2 of the Big 12 of a Golden Spikes winner.
Yeah, he'd certainly be it would feel like he's chasing that Florida pitcher, first baseman. I'm going to butcher his name. Caglianone.
Yeah, Caglione or whatever.
Because that dude, like, he's a pitcher, he's a first baseman, but he's just like ridiculous power too. On the mound, he's 4-1 in the season, 4.74 ERA, 38 innings pitched. This year, he's hitting 382, 10 doubles, 2 triples, 22 home runs, 892 slugging, on base of 430. So that is a was that 1330 OPS, which is just ridiculous, silly.
Well, and I don't know if y'all, to back up what Rob was saying, have we mentioned that Tech got the sweep this week on Big 12 Players of the Week? So
No, we haven't
Cash,
yet.
yeah, Cash of course did. Ryan Free was the pitcher of the week, and then Gage Harrelson, who went an uncharacteristic like 0 for 4 tonight. He was the newcomer of the week.
Went to
So-
his head.
Not too bad after a road series to have 3 of your guys named in there. What'd you say?
I said it went to his head.
Oh,
Did y'all talk about Free's performance when y'all were talking about Oklahoma before I was able to come back?
No, we kind of glazed over it. I thought he saved the bullpen though.
Yeah, he did, because like for somebody to come in and then to perform that well, I mean, and like phenomenal, right? He went 6 innings, retired 15 straight with 9 strikeouts in that stretch, was just absolutely phenomenal. Which I've already said that, but it feels like, and maybe it's just the way like I just kind of was led to believe, or how I bought into the pitching coming into the season. Like we were kind of loaded with starters, and we had a decent bullpen. It feels like it's kind of flipped, right? Like you've got a couple starters that you feel like you can, like, if they can play up to their potential, like they're pretty good. But then you've got a damn good bullpen, right? Like if guys like Free Kyle Robinson, Beckel, like if those guys are on, like you're not seeing a better bullpen anywhere. Like I feel confident saying like those guys can get you out of like just about anything when they're on. And then you've got guys that have been in the bullpen that have been kind of pressed into new roles. Whether or not you consider Gurton in the bullpen now, or that was just a thing over the weekend. I mean, he would definitely be up there. Parrish has been really, really good out of the bullpen, but also is kind of in a new role. So before we jump out of that, Rob, I want to hear your thoughts on just like how how that kind of everything has shifted with the pitchers, just like as the season kind of progressed and just how it's played out, just organically with like the guys that were injured that have been unavailable, or just how they continue to develop and step up. And maybe this is something you asked or you were talking to when I lost it the first time. I don't know. Let's talk about the management of the pitching, but I felt fairly not necessarily negative or like I don't even know how to phrase that, but just like the way that I felt just unmet expectations for the starting pitching, to then be so surprised and excited and just on fire about the bullpen. How have you seen that kind of play out over the season, or just, at least so far?
Yeah, you have 6 really good bullpen arms. And you have one good starter right now, and it's who I thought would be one of your better bullpen arms, Trenton Parrish. Like Mason Molina has not been good for nearly a month.
Yeah.
And I think maybe you switch him to Friday just to see if you can shake something loose there. But Beckel has been outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Robinson has been outstanding out of the bullpen. Tabor Fast has been pretty good in a couple of roles, but if he can end up being the midweek guy or even a weekend guy to close the year to set him up for a regional, you'd feel really good about that. Gurton, twice out of the bullpen, has been really good and has not really had a great start yet. He started a bunch of games, but has just kind of been a serviceable starting pitcher. So you saw a lot of tinkering with the lineup in that road stretch.
Mm-hmm.
But you hadn't really had a lot of tinkering on the weekend rotation beyond kind of a couple of Sunday guys going back and forth. I think you're going to see a lot of tinkering over the next week and a half of starting pitchers just to find 3. Because all you're doing over the next 2 months is finding a rotation for a regional. And if you can't do that, you're not going to win a regional this year. You've not had consistent starting pitching, and that absolutely is frustrating because you've also had a couple of guys you really trusted out of the bullpen who have not been very good. But I think you've pitched 20 guys. I think 20 guys have thrown innings or something crazy like that, which just seems like an outrageous number, but you're really looking for something. I think you have a lineup set with Coleman at 2. Austin Green has been struggling. I think Keith said he batted, I think he's below the Mendoza line since Texas. And that's pretty frustrating, but if he gets going again, I think your offense right now, even without him being hot, is really good. You just need some consistency because you've seen a lot of great flashes from a lot of arms. But it's that consistency you've been chasing.
So with the so one, you've thrown 22 pitchers so far this season.
That is crazy.
And some of them, like in terms of innings pitched, like you've got Cade McGarry's got 1 inning. You've got,
and I think 2 appearances maybe.
Yeah, Derek Bridges 2 1/3. Of course, he just came back. Dax Dothy's got 2 2/3. So like you got a small handful of guys that only have a few innings, but with the way that the issues with the starters have how they have kind of emerged, the issues, and then the way that the bullpen has stepped up. Do you think with the tinkering you managed, like you talked about, we've kind of been clamoring for like that opener reliever role. Like if there was an opportunity to do it, like I think you could see this happen multiple times over a weekend or over a series. Now it's not just like, hey, we need to find one game where we can do this. Like the way your staff is kind of set up now, like you may have a handful of guys that can start a game, open a game, and then turn it over to a handful of your really good bullpen arms, and then you got to another group of guys that you would you want in a high leverage situation. Like, a few guys you can go like, hey, we need like 4 innings or more from you.
Well, here's the dream: if Mason Molina could give you 6, and Beckel and Robinson could close down Friday, and then you have Parrish and Free, and a bullpen arm or 2, Bridges, whoever, close out Saturday, then you have Gurton. And if it's Rogers pitching one time through the lineup, and then you have Gurton for 6 innings on a Sunday, you could absolutely start sweeping people. But when you have to use Gurton on Friday and Beckel and Robinson, you just kind of lose some edge on Sunday. Now, when your offense doesn't hit either, you're not going to win that game. But it's just frustrating to have to use 2 of your premier arms, 3 or 4 of your premier arms on Friday night.
Yeah, that scenario I think you're laying out there would be ideal, or well, not even ideal, but like in your current state of things, like maybe best possible scenario where like you got you go with your one start that you have, and then your best bullpen arms, and hopefully only use a couple of those for Friday, and have them available if needed again for Sunday. And then you got like the rest of your best staff ready to go, and then you've got like your long reliever set to go on Sunday, and then whoever's back available for Sunday to look at those sweeps. I was a little surprised. I was going through the pitching stats again, and it didn't surprise me that Beckel's got 13 appearances so far in the season. What did surprise me is Ryan Free quietly has 16, and he leads the team in appearances. I did not remember that he had so many times out of the pen. And for a guy that hasn't thrown like hasn't been a starter, he's got some of the like most innings pitched, which is obvious as someone that's thrown so many, or been asked to go into so many games. All right. You guys want to jump over to basketball? Michael, do you have anything else on baseball real quick before we move over?
I'm good. Y'all got it.
All right. Then we will, with the board being down, we'll just jump right over into basketball. There have been some people, and I'm not saying I'm one of them, or I don't think there's maybe not anybody on this recording that are concerned or have some high level concern that this new staff isn't complete yet. But initially, Rob and Michael, I want to hear both of your thoughts. Like, where's your concern level that it's been 2 weeks or whatever it's exactly been for McCaslin, and we still don't have that first assistant. You don't have that associate head coach role filled out just yet.
For me, I think it seems like he's focused more on recruiting and trying to get some players. I think that would almost be what I'd prefer him to be focusing on at this point. I choose to kind of just let him run the ship the best he can. Right now, he's kind of being thrown into everything, just coming off of his NIT championship. We have a championship coach here. installing a championship culture. It takes a little bit of time. So I'm not that alarmed about it. I just do think that, you've got to get the players here. I don't want to say first because they obviously will go hand in hand, but you just got to get them. You got to get them here. Then you could worry about how you're going to coach them and run practices and do all the day-to-day stuff there. And I may be way off base on that, Rob, but that's kind of where I'm standing. I don't know if you're in the same spot or not.
Yeah, I think more than the on court assistance, it's just kind of weird to me that you don't have a director of recruiting or a chief of staff or a lot of support staff. And maybe that's all in place and he just brought it all from North Texas and they weren't announced. But it does seem like a really light, like, even if we'll worry about coaching, who's recruiting? It's just McCasland and the two guys.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't take an army to have a visit at Texas Tech. You just kind of walk them around the Womble and then say, all right, here's some videos of the USA and Raider Riot. I'm not worried right now about not a full staff, but I would be worried next Tuesday or the Tuesday. If it gets to May, I would be very worried that you don't have Ben McCollum or whoever else was mentioned early on. But right now, no, I'm not like freaking out about it like some.
Yeah, and we've basically only got 4 or 5 guys on the team.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot to run or manage right now. So that's why I'm kind of, okay, all right, maybe he's weighing that. Maybe if he had 12 guys just wondering what the heck they're supposed to be doing, then he might be more inclined to, okay, let me get some help out here. Let me get some nutrition going. He got the strength guy in. I mean, that's great. So they can work out and do whatever he needs to do if he's on the trail or dissecting film for his next portal catch.
So I was kind of thinking about that when Rob said, like, or Michael, sorry, when you said, like, what all do you, like, who do you actually need to be on hand, to make things run? I was like, well, you need somebody to open the door, right? You need somebody with keys to open the building to let the guys into practice or to shoot around or whatever. Because if McCaslin and the other 2 assistants are out recruiting or if they're setting up visits, all that kind of stuff, and you don't have the support staff, this may fall on the strength and conditioning coach, right? Like, he's the guy that's the logistics guy until the rest of the staff is full. Like, he's there to open the door and to connect the guys with, like, the nutritionists or meal planning and all that kind of stuff. And then making sure that, like, the lights are turned on and the AC's turned on, whatever you need to do, so, like, guys can come in and get some work in.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's leaning on guys like Gio and stuff to kind of, okay, so who do I need to talk to get on the nutrition program? Where do we need to set that up? How do I navigate this? I mean, I'm sure he's relying on some of the more quote unquote permanent staff and faculty. I always get those confused. What's the difference between staff and faculty?
Well, faculty is a teacher.
Okay, staff. So.
Rob, do you have any like preferences on the associate head coach? Like Ben McCollum, John Jacobs, Barrett Peary, I think have all been connected to that role at some point. Like,
Ben
if okay,
Yeah.
just
Yeah, it's Ben McCollum.
and I think that was the name that we heard that had been, like, in place and, like, they were just about ready to announce it, ready to go, or at least it was on some level, official. But with the other guys, like, it feels like there's a level of, like, plausible deniability. Like, there's like, well, they've been connected to the role, whether they've actually expressed interest or interviewed or all that kind of stuff. So, like, them not being named, like, is on a different level for me than, Ben McCollum was like, it's supposedly, like, in on paper somewhere, but still no announcement. That aspect has me, a little more concerned. Like, well, what's the hang up? You know, like
Yeah.
you're not waiting for a team to finish their run in a postseason tournament. You're not waiting for whatever. You know, I've seen salary numbers that you could easily double or triple McCollum's salary. You know, and go from a head coach at Northwest Missouri State to being an associate head coach in a Power 5 program and the best basketball program in the country, and be one of the best teams and the best conference in the country. And so you have, you know, all that kind of, you know, all that leverage into like the promotion, if you will, even though you're not like, you know, not only the head coach, but the fact that it's now been, you know, 2 weeks and still quiet, I think has like my concern level is growing, that for whatever reason, like this hasn't been wrapped up just yet.
Yeah. The Ben McCollum offense just fits so well. People really wanted Barrett Peary's offense to work when he was here with Mark Adams, but you cannot run a full court offense and a half court defense.
Yeah, the
Just
Peary
doesn't
system
work.
it felt like it was more like an entire team system, right? Like it wasn't like you're gonna get like a Peary offense, because from what I remember when you know he was initially hired, it was like his Portland State teams was a full court defense, and they forced so many turnovers, and that was a large part of their offense, right? Like they were just forcing so many different opportunities for the offense, and that wasn't what he's going to be asked to do.
No, you can't have 75 offensive possessions and 50 defensive possessions. It just
God no.
The numbers don't work.
it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I think people get too wrapped up in the word offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator.
Well, I think that
Because when Adams was here as the assistant, people called him a defensive coordinator. It just doesn't work like that in basketball. And I think it gets brought up all the time, and it's not a thing.
Well, it felt like it was a thing with Beard and Adams, right? Because like you had like everybody was so like it was so focused on like Adams is the defensive genius, Beard is a genius, like they're just running this other offense, the motion offense, and it wasn't any good.
Right.
And so like, you know, from our perspective, it was, you know, how it was kind of portrayed to us, or how it was kind of presented to us, like, well, this is how other teams do it. That's just not how it's done really anywhere else. But so what I was gonna say, I think what may help kind of settle some of that was there was some news today, some recruiting news, like you know got something so far in the McCaslin's first couple of days. You got a commitment and a transfer from Nevada. Darian Williams is a forward, committed today, or at least announced today. It's a 6'6", 210 freshman. He averaged 7.5 points per game, a little more than 7 rebounds per game, shot more than, or you know, better than 41% from the field, and almost a 36% shooter from three. So like there's that little bit of news. So you're like, you know, like, well, McCaslin doesn't have a staff, and we don't have any recruits yet. You know, his all-world guard from his old team still hasn't committed, and like it's like, well, what's going on with him? But we do have, like I said, the first little bit of news. Have you seen Williams play, either one of you? And is this a needle mover, or is it just like you need to just start grabbing guys?
My needle was moved.
I don't like how you said that.
That, well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. I feel like I need to get home. When Jalen Tyson entered the portal, everyone was freaking out. Where are you going to find 10-6 again? You just did.
Essentially, yeah.
You found a 6'6" guard forward, but he also has 2.7 assists per game. And that passing has not been in Tyson's game. He was a bad passer. I'm not saying that couldn't improve, but Williams also feels like he has some natural facilitating ability. And if you're going to run the McCollum offense, even if McCollum's not here, that is a 12-pass offense with actual cutting guards, what you've always wanted to hear at Texas Tech, really.
Absolutely.
And Williams fits so well. It just feels like a home run transfer in. Mountain West freshman of the year, third in the Mountain West last year in rebounds. The Mountain West is a really good league. Excited for him.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about Williams, but I'm interested as well. There's a visit this week. Chance McMillian made it in from Grand Canyon, and he averaged 10 points last year. 6'3" guard, actually almost 11. It was 10.9 points, 2 assists per game. Another guy who can facilitate. So I'm kind of excited about him, and not just because my last name starts with an MC, and so then we could possibly have McCaslin, McMillian, McCollum, McGuire. Yeah, let's keep it going, guys. Very Mick excited.
What they say, Mick
because-
Greatness? Is that what they said when they were doing the bro hug?
I think so, and
Mick Greatness.
I feel like I should have been consulted on that. I want to be involved. I want to be a part of it.
Mick Championships.
Yeah, I mean the obvious is Mick. We can't go McLovin it because copyright
Yeah.
infringement and whatnot. But
Mick Winner.
yeah, Mick liking it.
They definitely should have had you as a consultant.
Yeah, see, I can add things. Mick leaning into it. Yeah, that's good. I think we're getting somewhere. But no, I mean, yeah, I like Tyson as a player, but something we touched on in the Discord, which we try to mention every week. If you want to join the Discord, go to the Gambling Gauchos Twitter and follow their link to the Patreon, and you can join the Discord with. How many you got in there now, Rob? Are we past 100?
In the Discord, yes, I believe so.
Okay, so we're past 100, and so there's a lot of good discourse in the Discord. But one of them was just the gnashing of the teeth when Tyson was announcing that he was leaving. I think really should have been brought to reality when McCullough did this last year, but apparently they weren't. That should have been the wake up call. Like, oh crap, anyone can go at any minute. So we should adjust our expectations and really, root for the double T and root for the players while they're wearing it, and then know that they're kind of free agents. And that's the good and bad of this thing. That's the good and bad of giving the players some more power, which I think is a good thing. But we just have to shift our perspectives a little bit as fans and go, okay, well, thanks Tyson, thanks Jalen. We enjoyed it, but it ends here. Good luck.
My biggest complaint last year on the team was there was a lack of leadership. And I think that lack of leadership started with Mark Adams. He was not a good leader last year. Off the court, he was distracted. But it did not feel like any players stepped up either. Davian Harmon seemed selfish. Kevin O'Banner is a great player, never was a leader vocally. And sometimes it's just not your bag. But I really wanted Jalen Tyson to step up in that role, and it just never felt like he did.
I felt like Isaacs was trying to. Like during the games, you could see him pulling. He would be the guy pulling the huddle together.
Yes.
I mean, and that was kind of unfortunate. Yeah, exactly. That's where I was going. That's unfortunate is because you're leaning on either your true freshman or your redshirt freshman to be your emotional leader on the court, and it's just it's not a good recipe for success.
I just feel like, though, in a lot of ways, that is a natural ability. And Tyson feels like he has that natural leadership ability. Not Tyson. Pop Isaacs. Tyson does not feel like he has that. And now you're hearing of it. I had guys telling me out of high school that he was kind of a diva. And he flips to go with Beard, leaves after 10 games. Then you hear about he's the one that brought up the stuff that killed Adams.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It just have fun at Kansas.
Is that kind of where the tea leaves are pointing right now?
Feels like it.
Oh, that hurts
Does it?
a little bit,
We'll see where
Just
he goes.
just a little. I just don't like I don't like the in conference stuff.
Kansas or Ole Miss.
Okay,
Yeah,
Go
go to
back-
Ole
that
Miss.
that would be
Go
really
back to
weird.
Beard.
Going back home.
Mama called.
I shouldn't have left you, man. Anyways,
Things will be better. Things will be better
yeah,
now.
it'll be different.
It'll be.
I can change him.
So the other thing, really quickly about on the transfer portal, just updating. Rob, you mentioned as we were getting going that Texas Tech transfer Ethan Duncan possibly has been contacted by Texas Tech as possibly coming back. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that from Jacob Harris, Guns Up Nation. Again, look, I think Ethan Duncan can be a Big 12 player in the right offense. And if this offense is him standing in the corner waiting for his skip pass on the 11th pass of the possession, and he's just shooting threes, I think he could be a quality player at Texas Tech as the 8th man. And if he wants to come back and do that, from what I heard when he left, he didn't want to leave. It was just he was told, you're not going to play, I think. And maybe he just saw the craziness in September. Was like, I don't want to be a part of this.
Who knows?
So, and I don't know what he did for a year. I think he stayed at Texas Tech. I don't think he left. I think he was just a student this year, right? So
That's the best I could tell. I didn't. All it shows, or all that I've been able to find, is the date that he entered the portal, which, like you said, was September, and then nothing. There's been no activity since then, and it wouldn't make sense to really. You're already in class.
right.
I mean, well into class. You're a month in by that point. It wouldn't make sense to transfer just to not be at the same school that you kind of practice with the basketball team for 3 or 4 months with. So
And
he
would have
must
had to
still
have
be
a chance
around.
to play.
Right. And something that we were talking about before we recorded too is just,
Wait,
I wonder who approached him, because
Yeah.
like we just talked about, there's 4 guys on this staff. And 3 of them are, who knows where they are, and one of them's like running strength practice. Like, did someone just bump into him at the Starbucks
yeah.
in the sub and be like, "Hey, come check out the Wand Bowl," and then that's the scoop.
He said,
I
hey,
don't
have you
know.
seen the one? Yeah, I've seen it, man. I know what it's like.
No, but it's different now. We're doing some cool stuff.
It could have been that Ethan Duncan was being recruited by North Texas, and that kind of was an open relationship there. 10 hours ago, the Portal Report reports Texas Tech transfer Ethan Duncan tells the Portal Report, that's hard to say, that he's received interest from Northern Colorado, Lipscomb, Middle Tennessee, St. Louis, San Diego, Robert Morris, Boston College, Colgate, Drake, and Texas Tech.
There you go.
Is that a walk-on too? Like, are you going to spend a scholarship on Ethan Duncan to come back? I don't know.
It'd be a tough sell for a kid who hadn't played in a year. And then the last time he played was in a very small private school.
Oh, yeah, at Trinity, yeah. It's been 2 years since he's played.
Yeah.
'Cause he was a freshman redshirt and then nowhere last year, I guess. And then does he have 3 years of eligibility, or do you retain a year when you don't play?
I would think so.
So
Hmm.
we'll see.
So for whatever reason, like my mind made the connection back to like you're talking about like just somebody bumping into him just somewhere on campus. Who was it that was kind of recruited out of the rec? Was that Matt Temple?
Temple,
That
yeah.
was like blowing people up in like the Greek league, and he was just shooting lights out.
You know
Like,
who
hey,
else?
you should come walk on.
You know who else would dominate the rec league? Bacho. He would have kicked ass in the rec league. I randomly saw some highlights of him while we were basically playing rec league teams this year, and that's what made me think of it. Because then once we start playing real teams,
He stopped performing.
things change.
And the other guy that I'm gonna use as a segue to get into football, like get recruited to your team just kind of off campus, would have been Matt Williams, the kicker from 2008, 2009. So, guys,
Yes.
you guys got any final thoughts on basketball before you move over to football real quick, and then wrap this thing up? No.
Oh, that's for okay. Let's save that for what we learned.
I don't-
Rob just. Oh man, he dropped a
That's from the
bomb on us here. Okay, as far as basketball, I'm good. I just kind of mainly wanted to talk a little bit about fan expectation and portal and yada yada. And, I mean, yeah, I liked Tyson as a player, but let's not lose our minds over this.
Trust the process.
Okay.
Yes.
Some ASMR there.
All right, so football spring practice. Spring practice is wrapping up. Got the spring game coming up this weekend, just a couple of days away. In the Discord, which we've already talked about, it felt like I kind of signed somebody up to run the tailgate. And I was like, no. What I meant was if there was going to be a gathering, this person would know. And he basically said, well, I'll meet whoever wants to meet before the game. But anyways, spring game this weekend, I believe it's noon. It'll be broadcast ESPN Plus, held over at Lowry Field here in Lubbock at the what's that, South Loop and the interstate.
66th-ish.
Ish, yeah.
Yeah.
Not really any of those, but
There was a fascinating conversation, Rob, that you were having about the capacity of that stadium and how many people may be jamming into there. It felt like years past we've had 8,000 to 10,000 people show up to the spring game, but the spread out over 60,000 seat stadium was very small. I wouldn't expect that same number just because of the venue change. Like it's just going to feel different. Like we're going to go play in a high school stadium, and you're not going to get the same kind of draw. But would you expect to have a mostly full Lowry Field stadium out there for the spring game this weekend?
two things. First of all, it's a damn shame they're not doing this on Friday night.
Oh.
You would think Mr. High School Football at a high school stadium would be playing this under the lights on Friday night. I understand the Saturday, whatever. Play it Saturday night. I would have loved that. Maybe it's a TV contract thing where you're open on noon, but it's ESPN Plus, right? You can play it whenever.
Well, in the baseball game, that's my only
That's
other.
the two.
It's at 6:30 on Friday night, though.
Oh, yeah, but play it Saturday night then. Play it under the lights.
Yeah.
Is all.
No, I'm with you.
Second thing, 8,500 I think is like max capacity at Lowry. I think you'll have 5. How many people will drive over to the Jones and be like, "Oh, what's happened? Why are the gates
Where's
open?"
everybody? Hopefully, very, very, very
Sucks.
few.
We'll see. And the thing is, like parking and everything. Is everyone going to try to sit on the home side, or are we going to be able to? Are they opening both sides? Are they going to have overflow? Because you can't like park on the home side and then walk over to the visitor side. I don't think, unless you go outside.
It's kind of weird that we haven't heard some of the logistics for the weekend, right? Like,
Yeah.
Hey, both sides will be open. Concessions will be going, or whatever. Like nothing from Texas Tech saying like, hey, this is how we would like everybody to proceed. Like,
Yeah, there's just one
So-
concession stand. I
Just-
guess
yeah.
2, one on each side.
self-select and figure out what side you want to sit on and get there.
Well, and I imagine the concessions would be really limited to
Yeah.
basically drinks and like prepackaged stuff.
I think they're open. At least some of them are open when it's at the Jones. Obviously, a much smaller.
Yes.
No beer.
Yeah.
No beer on the high school campus. So there's that. Not even in the tailgate, unless you sneak them in.
Well, that takes. Actually, no, I never did that.
Will there be tailgating? I just don't know.
I've
They
heard from
block
from
party?
the guy. Well, from the guy that from Mr. Root, who
Yeah.
Spencer basically designated as the event planner, that they will be there
Yeah.
at 11 a.m.
Couple
and they may or may
Cowboys
not.
tailgates, Yeah.
Yeah, they may or may not have a couple cold ones that morning. So
Yeah.
I doubt it's going to be a crazy scene, but there'll be some people there a little early.
Can I tell you about something that happened to me this past weekend?
Yeah.
We were sitting down at dinner, and I was telling Samantha, like, hey, don't forget, spring game is this Saturday. I want to go, blah, blah, blah. Not even 30 seconds later, her younger brother, it's like, so she's fourth of fifth in terms of birth order in her family, younger brother, and his wife turned to us and said, hey, our oldest child's birthday party's this weekend. You guys coming? Like, I was like, oh, shit. What time is it? 11:30. I was like,
Ah,
you've got to be kidding. I was like, well, there goes me going to the spring game.
There you go.
We're gonna go to altitude or whatever, and absolutely hate life doing it.
That's I was actually going to guess that because that's about the furthest away from Lowry I could think of for a kid's birthday party.
that's worse than Bark at the Park.
So
I get
as
super
much as I was
places.
hoping to meet up with guys like Root and Lovekiss and all those from the Discord about, you know, from when we had the tailgate at Cardinals back in September, or maybe it was August, I can't remember when it was. I got roped into a nephew's birthday party, and this is the one that, like, this family specifically is the one that I can't stand. And this nephew is a little
Big
a-hole.
listeners of the podcast too, probably.
Well, probably not, but
Man, you're gonna miss out meeting the Ace Man. I've got the Ace Man coming
oh
in this
man,
weekend.
I would have liked that too.
It's too bad. It's too bad.
Get to see Rob in person.
Yep.
Like, I virtually, it's nice. Like, it's been a while since I've had the pleasure of conversing with Rob.
I
But
know.
it's not the same. You don't have the same gravitas over the internet.
It seems.
We
it
we
seems
all
like a,
said we all said the spring game together one time.
yeah, we did.
Is that Matt
Yeah, it
Wells'
was last year.
game?
No, it was last year, wasn't it? And,
No,
and
the-
we're talking about
Year
how
before.
Shuck couldn't throw over the middle, and like 2 plays in threw a pick six. We're like, holy shit, this is gonna be bad. I'm pretty sure it was last year. Well,
I think it was
I'm sure we did it a few years ago too, but I think we did it last year too.
I want to say
Anyways.
maybe. It certainly was a few years ago because I do remember we were down lower. I think Keith was there too. I think it was all 5 of us.
Well, I know for sure we did
Kyle.
one Matt Wells at least.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's one I'm
definitely 2 years ago, and then maybe last year as well.
Certainly
Seth was
talking
there.
about Shuck though. The second throw of the game was a freaking pick six. I rewatched the spring game the other day just to get a feel. I tested my resolve of being a Shuck strong.
But okay, but with your memory of how the season ended and then where it started from that spring game, couldn't you like look at the difference, the progression at least, or no?
I mean, you just stopped throwing to the sideline. Is he going to run 25 times a game? Yes. I can think of the final 4 or 5 games and say he looked a lot better.
The bowl game.
The bowl game where he was Mr. Do-It-All. Yes. I am still Shuck strong, but it did just tested my resolve a little bit.
I wanted to go ahead, Spencer. Sorry, I'm looking something up.
I was gonna say you did share that tweet or that video that the football program sent out about their quarterback drill, and you were pretty.
Morton looks good.
You had some salivation going on over
Physically,
over
no,
two
he
there.
looks good. His arms look massive, dude.
Well,
looks
he's gained
like a grown-
about-
He looks like a grown man.
Don Williams, right before we started, had a pretty good thread on Twitter, and Shuck is still about 230, but Morton has gone from 203 to 217. So he's
They listed him at 210. I knew he looked bigger than 210.
yeah. So he's 217. And the other thing I wanted to mention too, they talked about the quarterback competition and that it's even more heated than last year, all that kind of good stuff. So there's some things to watch there. And then the other thing is to watch the format, which I'm gonna need someone. I don't know. I mean, you gentlemen probably get it, but I might need someone with like a graduate degree in mathematics to explain this to me. So, first half running clock except for the last 2 minutes. Okay,
Yep.
that's easy enough. Third quarter red zone lockout, which you placed the ball at the 20 and played at 18 points. Defense gets 6 points for fourth down stops or turnovers, 4 points for forcing a field goal.
They do this in practice a lot. This is how the whole red and black game was when Cliff was here.
That
All
It was that
situations.
seemed
wonky-
familiar.
Yeah, it was that wonky scoring where the defense could score points, the offense could
Yes.
score. Yeah, they're going to do that in the red zone.
And he's going to have McGuire made it clear that he's going to have ones versus ones, twos versus twos. He doesn't want to do twos versus ones or anything like that. And then on fourth quarter, it'll be third and fourth units with the clock just rolling. But yeah, y'all, I don't want to read through all of it, but everyone listening probably already follows AJ_. Go check it out. It's got a really good thread on kind of what to expect and what he was able to get out of McGuire today.
Okay, so I went to Don Williams' Twitter to look for that thread. And you know what I found first? Him saying that Dylan Carter has been cleared to play.
I noticed something tonight.
What?
I noticed something tonight. He was Coleman on his second home run. They had a hearty handshake with that right hand. I kid you not. I noticed that, and I was like, this
Little like
seems
Valor
weird.
F Chili dog.
Yeah.
So, Justin Apodaca from Raider Sports, this is quoted from Williams, said Justin asked Tadlock after the game about the status of Dylan Carter. And he said Carter's been cleared to return and should be on active roster this weekend. Whether he'll be in the lineup, we'll see. And then a direct quote from Tadlock said, I asked him at the top of the ninth if he could play defense. And we basically said, let's wait till the weekend. So he's cleared. We're in a good spot with him.
Carter asked if he could play, or Tadlock asked Carter.
I think Tadlock I think Tadlock asked, I don't know who he asked, but I think he asked if Carter could play defense in the top of the ninth. So, maybe.
So now hold on. Okay, I wasn't prepared for this.
Sorry, I know. We were in football. I was looking for stuff on the spring game, and then that caught my eye. I was like, that changes the calculus a little bit.
So let's go. Let's say Carter comes back. And he bats 8th or 9th until he gets hot again. Harrelson goes back to right. You just lose Vuletic, or Vuletic DHs.
I would put him at DH. I think he's been more consistent with the bat than anybody else you've tried there.
Ty Coleman is.
If we asked that question before tonight and his 2 home runs, would it have been a question of whether or not Coleman would have been the lineup over Vuletic?
Okay, I wasn't saying that. How can I word this? He's well liked by the coaching staff. He's a Tadlock guy.
Yep.
Coleman is. And it doesn't feel like Vuletic is. I don't know what it is, but he just doesn't ever seem to get the full shake.
Oh, speaking of full shake.
Well, hey, now we've already bonked.
No, that's not what I meant.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
about to send you the screenshot of Ty Coleman going in for the full
Oh,
handshake.
okay, all right.
But
Thought we were gonna get a
This-
tight pants joke again.
no, my bad. I got my tight pants on. But it happens right before the gigantic ESPN logo blocked it.
Was it his right hand that was broken?
Yes.
Okay.
And Coleman's
Pretty
reaching
sure.
out with a pretty hardy. He's got the hand
Yeah.
Yeah.
horizontal.
If you watch the video, you can tell Coleman's coming in. He's coming in big time for it, but then the ESPN logo like blocks it to where you don't actually get to see that manliest of hand embraces.
What a turn of phrase, Michael.
Thank you.
All right, so is there anything specifically you guys would like to see? I know that like the spring game is basically useless, especially when there's so much situational stuff, and we can talk about like whether or not we would prefer to see like a scrimmage or a exhibition style game played. But like, is there something that you would want to see?
I want to see
We can-
both teams have fun.
Oh my gosh,
Just
I just want to
really
see the guys have fun.
just out
play well.
there, just out there, just having a good time. You know, that's what it's all about. It's for the kids, for the glory.
I want to see some turnovers, but I don't want to see any turnovers.
I want to see some. Okay, seriously, I want to see some crisp routes and some good catches. That's kind of one of the things I'll be looking for.
I want to see Dre McCray absolutely dust the defense, but I don't want to see any defenders get burnt. Like the spring game is just so dumb. Like everything I want to see the opposite as well.
Well, then you second guess.
Yeah.
You see a great play and you're like, oh man, wow,
Yeah.
they sacked the quarterback. That's oh wait, oh
Yeah.
no, is
Or
that
the
bad?
offensive line
Is
sucks.
that bad?
Yeah.
Yeah. Every single thing you just the
So,
constant battling yourself.
but I do want to. I want to see a clean game from Chuck for sure because he was not good in last year's spring game. I would like to see some big gaps, offensive. You know what? I would rather see a successful offensive output than a successful defensive output. I think.
And one thing I will miss out seeing though that I wish we could, we won't really get a good sense of how mobile these quarterbacks are because they're just going to stop any sort of contact on them. So that's something that you kind of lose in these spring games too. But maybe we'll still get an idea. Maybe they'll let them roll out enough and you can kind of see how they're moving, how Morton's ankle's holding up, all that kind of good stuff. I'm sure it's fine. It's been forever, but we just haven't seen him much since Shuck came back.
So, without putting words in your mouth, would you say that you want to see the offense perform well because you have, I wouldn't say faith, but like you have some confidence in where the defense should be this year? So, like, if the offense is doing well, you know that, like, well, I know the defense should be pretty good, so that means the offense is better, or is that more of like what I just want to see myself?
No, I think that's what I'm saying. I trust the defense. I trust where you are. I trust the talent on the defensive side, and I trust the offense as well. But you just looked so disjointed last year offensively. I would like to see you
The offensive line was bad at
so
times.
bad.
So
bad.
with the changes that we've seen, like they all like make a lot of sense along the offensive line when they flip the tackles. They've got stats coming in. You've got the other transfer who's now eligible or healthy from
Cole
Western
Spencer.
Kentucky. Yeah, so you got Spencer and stats, and then you move Wilburn off center to the right guard. And like I said, you flip tackles. Like that all, for whatever reason, just words alone, I was like, yeah, that sounds like it should be a pretty decent offensive line. So what I would want to see is just a clean offensive line performance from those guys, right? Like if that's going to be your starting five with your ones, like open up holes, keep defenders from touching your quarterback, which is about all they'd be able to do. And then I think more so defensively, I want to see the newcomers flash, right? Like whether it's a defensive back, or guys that like are filling in for a role that had been locked down all of last season. Like it was going to be Miles Cole taking over for Tyree Wilson or whoever it is. I've been so out on spring practice. Like I couldn't even tell you, but if that's even like aligned with who's taking over where. Just a flash here or there, but like, okay, like we knew how good those guys were last year, and obviously there's going to be like there could be a step back in production there, but if this guy's got got some stuff, I want to see just a little bit of it. Otherwise, like you said, like if you're too good on one side or the other, it's like wow, the opposite side really sucks. Like our offense is terrible this year. I thought we'd be so much better under year 2, or we lost so much on defense. Like whatever, I don't know. So
Yeah, and if it's a turnover, maybe like a just an incredible tip drill or like a huge recovery to go back and just make a miraculous play, that kind of stuff. I just don't want to see slow fake, throw to the sideline, pick 6.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen this 6 times before from this guy. Like I don't want to see that again.
all right.
A lob
Just
across your body.
I've never seen a guy throw so much more differently down the field than to the sideline. It's amazing. He's got a cannon down the field, and he just lobs it to the side and get it. Chuck Strong, though.
Hashtag. All right, let's wrap this up with what did we learn? I will just real briefly. I'm not gonna go into like a whole lot of detail because I know people are just bored of tears when I'm talking about Little League baseball or my grass. But I mentioned the shed is done, the new grass seed is down, so that's all good and well. I feel like I've been doing really well in my games, but the most important thing is I picked up 3 checks and I ordered my dang Blackstone. So there we go.
What?
Nice.
So
Mission accomplished.
yes. So your side gig as an umpire has
It's
gotten the
paid for.
Blackstone.
Yep, I'm joining
That's
the Blackstone
beautiful.
gang. It will be here possibly Friday. I didn't like go into outdoor shop, which I probably could have, but I didn't need the fancy stuff. I just got the standard was I think 36 inches and has a cover on it, but I didn't need the air fryer. I didn't need any of the fancy contraptions or drawers or extra shelves or cabinets. No, man, I just give me the griddle.
So you did go to Outdoor Chef?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
They last time I was there, they had like the $600 and $800 versions of it. Like, no, I don't need all the bells and whistles. I just need I need a cast iron griddle plate, man, with some propane.
Propane. Yeah, I really like Outdoor Chef.
Oh, I love it. I just can't.
But I
buy
get what
big
you're
things
saying.
there.
They just had the Cadillacs when you weren't in the market for the Cadillac. You just need to get from A to B, man. You know what you're doing.
I need the Honda Civic.
There you go.
The
Reliable.
Kia Soul.
Reliable will outlast you.
Yeah, man.
I don't sell yourself too short on that building because you sent me a picture of it and I really dig it. You did some good work. Before I get to my what I learned, I wanted to expand a little bit on Rob, would you like to share a little bit with the folks the photo that you showed me earlier
Yeah.
of that new Dorito flavor?
So apparently somewhere there's ketchup
on.
flavored Doritos.
What?
Tangy ketchup. Now this is a Canadian thing.
Oh, it totally is.
Legitimately, there are ketchup flavored chips in Canada.
Yes, and like
this
all
look-
dressed and all this other stuff. I learned this from Letterkenny. Of all
This
things.
looks like a real photo in Austin of a legitimate Doritos tangy ketchup chip.
Are you in, Spencer?
No.
Are you out?
Send that straight to the moon, man. Get that out of here. If I want ketchup on a chip, like, one, why? But two, like I could accomplish that myself. I don't need them making it for like I can't go make the Cheeto cheese and put that on a Cheeto. I can't make the flaming hot. Like no. I can for dang sure put some ketchup on my own chips. Not that I would, because that just sounds gross.
Well, now hold on. Potato chip is a potato, right? You're putting ketchup on it. Now Doritos are not potato chips.
They're corn.
It's a corn chip. You're not putting ketchup on your Fritos, but
Barbecue sauce.
I would bite a small couple of Doritos just to see what goes on. I don't know if I'd buy a family size to try, but I would try. I'm progressive when it comes to chip flavors. Have y'all had the Ruffles Funyun onion flavored chips?
No, but I need to tell my wife about these.
They're Ruffles, but they've got the Funyun powder on them. So it's kind
Okay.
of like the sour cream and onion Ruffles, but it tastes like Funyuns.
I think I'm in because Funyuns and I don't like each other. But I like Funyuns fine. But I think if the Funyuns dust was on a Ruffles with ridges,
Yeah.
it'd be fine. We'd get along
Agreed.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you. The only reason I don't try these other crazy flavors is just because I don't want to spend the money on them.
Yeah.
But absolutely, if someone had like because I forgot all the other weird ones they had recently. Lay's
Will you
had
be
some.
at the spring game?
Yeah, I'll be there.
If they're in Lubbock, I'll try to track them down and we can
Oh man,
have them. I'll make
Tank-
Lubbock's try them too.
tangy ketchup tailgate.
Let me see if I can find these on the grocery store app.
Okay, there's one thing I learned this week, guys, and for those of you who have followed along in my plight, I've been trying to cut out dairy quite a bit the last few weeks, and so when I get a burger, I now order a hamburger, which is kind of a foreign concept to me. I've learned that there are places you go, there's no such thing as a hamburger on the menu. So I went to Sonic yesterday, and so I had to order. Oh, is that jackass? I had to order a cheeseburger with no cheese. They do not change the price.
No, they never adjust the price to take stuff
No,
off.
that is such crap. Because I grew up with a family who, on occasion, my dad was known to say we have cheese at home. So, because it was like it was the most ludicrous thing in the world to pay cheese at the local Merkel Dairy Queen for your cheeseburger. Like, oh, yeah, where you got cheese at home? He didn't talk like that. I don't know why I said it like that. But anyway, if you order a cheeseburger and you say you don't want the cheese, they're just like, yeah, okay, cool.
So
It'll still
my-
be $5.39. $5.39, guys, for a Sonic hamburger.
Was it cooked well?
It was the one on University is hit or miss any other time but lunch. Lunch, they're pretty reliable, and so I
They-
went during lunch.
I mean, were the patties pretty crispy? Because the last couple Sonic burgers I've had, they've been like real crispy.
Oh, like
good.
well done. Well, no, it was a good. It was a legit
I
pretty
mean,
good
it's a
burger.
good crisp. It's like almost like a smash burger.
Oh, yeah,
It tastes like
sometimes
a Brahms burger kind of.
yeah, Dairy Queen used to do that every now and then. They would kind of have that crisp,
grill's
but like
cooked up pretty
Freddy's.
high or something.
Freddy's does
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's kind of their thing. Anyway, yeah, that's what I'm learning. Trying to order a hamburger places is kind of it's weird. It's a weird concept to order a cheeseburger with no cheese.
Before we let Rob chime in here, I want to share one of the things. Samantha likes to get the nachos at Taco Bell whenever we go to Taco Bell, which is very rare. She'll get like the nachos, but say no beef, which is the most egregious thing. Like you're taking the most expensive item off of that item, and it's like, yeah, that'll be $8. Like I literally got the crappiest chips, beans, and cheese whiz on this thing. It's $8. Like I said, no beef, man.
But we got
Right.
beef. we got beef now.
We got beef now, yeah. All right, Rob, what did you learn? On
I
the spot.
learned that people still order at the window at Sonic. I thought everyone was just using the app now.
Oh,
Have
I
you used the
100%
Sonic
use
app?
the app.
I have
we
so
got
many
that
apps. I have an app addiction, and so believe me, Rob, I don't know how many times I've talked myself out of getting the Sonic app because I'm already a heavy Whataburger, Taco Bell, Slims, and Chick-fil-A
Slims
and Wendy's
Mhm.
app user. Those
Oh,
are
I'm only
the,
on the Sonic app. I didn't know about all those other ones.
yeah.
But hold on though, hold on. Let me just some information sharing. We're not gatekeepers here. There are some like restaurants that have an app where you get it. Those aren't as good as the apps. The restaurants that have an app, they'll bring you the food, right? Like Slims, you have to go in to go get it.
True.
Like
That's
DoorDash.
that's not as it's not like that's not as helpful. Or what's the other one?
Wendy's, it depends on which one you go to. Sometimes you can, like the one on by Target, they
Mhm.
don't have a designated parking spot for you. You either have to go in and get it or you have to go through the drive-through, which can be kind of annoying. And Taco Bell's that same way too about the drive-through.
If you order online for pickup at Dion's, one of the
You go through the
Dion's you can
drive-thru.
pick up at the window, but the other Dion's you have to go inside to pick it up.
Really?
And I argued with the lady. I was like, I'm already here. Like, just walk over to it. And she was like, But that was
I've
my
already,
fault. That was my
already
fault.
pulled
because
over.
That was my fault because technically I was at the wrong Dion's for my pickup, so I eventually had to go in anyways. But
Well,
she was like,
it's-
I don't see it. I was like, well, look again, lady, because it's there. And then and I was like, oh, damn, it wasn't there.
I don't know how I haven't done that yet.
That
but
was
it's
like a
just
year
a matter
ago,
of
though.
time.
Yeah.
I've only done that once, and it was I sent the order to the wrong Sonic.
Oh,
But
that's
like it was far enough away. I was like, screw it, I'm not going for it. I'm just leaving.
You can keep
gonna
my
chalk it up
$5
to-
cheeseburger with no cheese.
my most
Oh, I wasn't even mad.
embarrassing wrong window move was, man, I think I was probably still in college, probably 2012-ish. I'm going to the bank to get a withdrawal or cash a check or something. And I pull up to the window. I'm like behind, frustrated. And I get to the little teller and she's like, what's your account number? And I told her and she's like, I don't think that's not the right number. Do you have the account number? It's like, I use it all the time. I know the account number. And she's like, well, the account number is eight numbers. And I was like, it's never been 8 numbers. It's 7 numbers. I say it. And like, I was getting pretty frustrated. Now, like, I was like looking around, I was like, oh shit. Like, I'm a block down from my bank. I was trying to be at Prosperity. I was at Bank of America. I was like getting really mad at this woman. I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm at the wrong bank.
Well, that's their own fault for having like red, white, and blue
They're so close.
logos and everything. Yeah.
Like literally 3 buildings down, maybe.
I think they even have the same
Early.
brick color.
And then
I
right
know
after
exactly what
that,
you're talking about.
right the same day, right after that, I ran out of gas, coasting
Oh,
into
no.
a gas station. I got there, but then like I couldn't find my debit card. It wasn't in my wallet. I was like, I lost my debit card. Like, what is this?
Like I actually made it to the gas station, but I
I'm
can't
so
pay for
mad.
gas.
I'm like about to just end it all. And I reached into my pocket and my debit card's there, and I was like, oh god, thankfully something's gone right today. Those like were back to back. It was one of the worst days of all time.
That is, yeah. The running out of gas is that's high on the list.
Like I should have just cashed that damn check. I would have had cash. But
And I wouldn't have yelled at this poor lady who was like, "You're at the wrong bank, my man."
not even her fault, man. Oh, that was. You never know. That's what I learned this week, 10 years ago. Sometimes it's your fault.
It almost always is your fault, and not like you, Rob. It's like
No, in
universal.
my experience, that is true. If it's a customer service issue, it was probably my doing.
I've had plenty of opportunities to learn that lesson myself. It's like, oh, it actually is just me. I'm the a-hole here.
Something I did learn though, playoff hockey is amazing, and I learn it every year. I do not watch hockey, but I watched the entire Stars game last night. Well, the entire Stars game in the first overtime, and then I fell asleep. But love playoff hockey. I don't know what's different about it. I want to go to a playoff hockey game, but Stars hockey games in the playoffs are just so exciting. So that's what I learn every year.
Playoffs in general, it's just a
Playoff.
different intensity.
It really is. The AAC was hopping too.
Because I'll get pulled into the NBA playoffs, even though I'm a Spurs fan who hasn't been able to watch the Spurs in like 4 years,
That's a shame.
Thanks, Lou.
and they're not very good. So, but yeah, I randomly watched Boston and Atlanta, a good chunk of that over the weekend, even though Boston was just beating the crap out of them. But I watched it enough to see Trae Young just step across half court and drain a three. I'm like, this is incredible. It's, in Boston, just no big deal.
Did you remember when
Did
he tried
you
to
do it
do
in Marcus
that in
Smart's
the tournament?
face?
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Do
All
what,
right.
Rob?
Did you remember when he tried to do that in the NCAA tournament and just whiffed? They lost in the first round.
It was beautiful. Oh, by the way, Spencer, we can't hear the music when you play it, so you'll
That's
just have
because
to
I'm
tell
not
us.
playing it.
Oh, okay, you'll just have to tell us to shut up.
Well, when I
Yeah.
start doing the outro here, I've tried twice now, but it's okay.
Okay,
Final thoughts?
love y'all.
All right.
No, yeah, we're good.
That'll do it for us on the 23 Personnel Podcast. I want to obviously thank Rob for jumping in on this episode with us. Always appreciate your presence, your wealth of knowledge, your experience, and just your professionalism behind the microphone, man. Always a good time. Got another baseball game with Grand Canyon coming up tomorrow night, Wednesday night, then the weekend series with Baylor. Got the football spring game, lots of Texas Tech athletics to take in here in Lubbock. For Michael and Rob, we'll see you guys next time.